Из Соединенных Штатов. Суд в Киеве арестовал все имущество Петра Порошенко. Об этом сообщили адвокаты бывшего президента Украины, а также и члены его партии «Европейская солидарность». Арест, в частности, наложен на принадлежащую Порошенку усадьбу в 40 километрах от Киева, квартиры в столице и в Виннице, земельные участки, а также акции частных компаний. Я напомню, Порошенко проходит по делу о поставках угля из Донбасса в 2014 и в 2015 году. Сейчас Порошенко в отъезде в Европе, но он уже объявил, что с 17 января все-таки примет участие в заседании суда и заглянет к генеральному прокурору. Бесплатные пытки, нечеловеческие условия. Заходите. Такие граффити украшают фасад отеля для беженцев, в который поместили мегазвезду мирового тенниса Новака Джоковича. Накануне он прилетел в Мельбурн для участия в турнире Australian Open, но провел несколько часов под присмотром полиции в изолированной комнате аэропорта. Встречавшие Джоковича с песнями и флагами болельщики так и не дождались кумира. После продолжительных разбирательств пограничники объявили, что его австралийская виза аннулирована. Причина в том, что Джокович не сделал прививку от коронавируса, сославшись на некое освобождение. Но власти материка это объяснение не приняли. К тому же тот тип визы, который стоял в паспорте теннисиста, подается только вакцинированным.
Господин Джокович не выполнил внутренние требования Австралии и не предоставил убедительных объяснений того, почему у него медотвод. Именно поэтому его виза была аннулирована. Ему решать, подавать апелляцию или нет, но если вам отказали в визе, то вы должны покинуть страну. Это не обсуждается.
Адвокаты первой ракетки мира апелляцию все-таки подали. Федеральный суд решил пока не депортировать Джоковича до заседания, которое назначено на понедельник. Президент Сербии Александр Вучич уже обвинил австралийские власти в охоте на ведьм и в политическом преследовании Джоковича. А знаменитый испанский теннисист Рафаэль Надаль призвал Джоковича вакцинироваться. Мир достаточно настрадался. Сделай прививку. Каждый имеет право на выбор, но за ним будут и последствия. Джокович сделал выбор. Из своей вакцинации он сотворил целую историю. И вот теперь в отеле, где в суровых условиях содержатся десятки беженцев, она превратилась в триллер. 9-кратный и действующий победитель Australian Open может пропустить чемпионат, который стартует 17 января. Команда КамАЗ-Мастер снова в полном составе занимает первые 4 позиции на 5-м этапе ралли-Дакар, который проходит в Саудовской Аравии. Сегодня первым финишировал Андрей Каргинов. О победной тактике наш корреспондент Станислав Резикульц.
Утром пилот КамАЗа Андрей Каргинов проснулся знаменитым в Саудовской Аравии. Местные жители остались в восторге от того, как гонщик преодолевал броды. Последнее сообщение родным перед стартом. В следующий раз экипажи выйдут на связь только на финише через 4 часа. Телефоны судьи запечатывают в пакеты.
Контролируют, чтобы не пользоваться телефоном. На самом деле у нас и ничего и нет, потому что нам загружают карту ровно, когда мы подъезжаем к старту. Только точки.
Старт 5-го этапа ралли-марафона Дакар 2022. Приезжая сюда, пилоты и экипажи еще не знают, что предстоит на трассе. Дорожную карту, очень схематичное описание участка они получают только здесь.
А впереди ждали почти 400 километров отменного бездорожья на предельной скорости в 140 километров в час. Затейливая навигация с частой сменой курса и очень много пыли. Дакар – это в первую очередь гонка на время, а не контактная борьба с соперником на трассе. Но сегодня почти как в Формуле-1, обгон за обгоном.
Очень острая борьба, 4 грузовика шли бок о бок, и прям вот, уже никто никому не сигналил, просто в пыли, в камнях, и немножко было даже страшно, потому что, не дай бог, кто-то в пыли кого-то не заметит. Очень близко было все.
Стартовав, как говорят в ралли-рейдах, на гарнир, в конце пелотона пилот КамАЗа Андрей Каргинов стал главным блюдом дня и выиграл этап.
Стартовали во втором десятке в грузовиках, так как вчера был провальный день, но пытались нагнать. Очень много обгонов было сегодня нами совершено. Чувство гордости переполняет за то, как мы умеем готовить наши автомобили.
Этап новый, а результат тот же. Триумф российской команды КамАЗ-Мастер. 4 грузовика «Синей Армады» опередили конкурентов. Дмитрий Сотников, Эдуард Николаев и Антон Шивалов занимают первые 3 строчки в общем зачете. Ближайший преследователь на 25 минут позади идущего 3-м Шибалова. Стас Ледикольцев, Антон Еликов. Вести из Эр-Рияда, Саудовская Аравия.
Христиане, живущие по юлианскому календарю, готовятся к великому празднику. Сегодня в полночь православный мир отметит Рождество Христово. Появление на свет Сына Божьего, младенца, которому суждено было стать Спасителем. Заканчивается строгий рождественский пост. Церкви и храмы по всей России, где пройдут богослужения в торжественном убранстве. В Москве службу в кафедральном соборе Русской Православной Церкви возглавит патриарх Московский и всея Руси Кирилл. В утренней проповеди в храме Христа Спасителя Святейший поздравил всех верующих с наступающим Рождеством и сравнил жизнь без Бога с блужданием в темноте.
Которые делают
по рецепту, которому несколько тысячелетий.
С праздником, ангел затрагивает.
А в монастырской пекарне румянятся в печах сдобные булочки и ростные пряники. Это
Circle DNA.
Circle DNA.
Circle DNA.
Circle DNA.
Circle DNA. It's the most comprehensive testing kit currently out.
I'm visiting the baking capitals of the world, Bellissimo, in search of the people, the places, and the traditions that make the very best of baking. From the laid-back sunshine vibe of Miami to the European chic of Paris. I'm on my global tour of baking, and today I'm here to sample the delights of Madrid. This time on City Bakes, I'm put through my paces making a local delicacy. It's like driving a bus that's bursting all its tyres. I discover the secret of puff pastry the Madrid way. Look at the layers. And I create a city bake that you can bake at home.
I'm gonna need this recipe, let me tell you.
The British love Spain. Every year, over 12 million of us hit the beaches here in search of the sun. Hello. And, judging by my welcome, I'm going.
I've seen you on the telly.
It looks like Madrid is a popular city destination too.
Cheers, Paul.
But, believe it or not, I've never been here before. So I'm looking forward to exploring this beautiful city. I love this. Look at that. That is beautiful. The Roman church in the background, the beautiful buildings going all the way down, the perspective that lines up. Yeah, I could sit, having went to art school, I could sit here and paint that all day. That's exceptional. Madrid is one of Europe's sunniest capitals. And when you live in a climate like this, it's no surprise that eating and drinking outdoors becomes a way of life. You see tables and chairs all over the place, people eating outside, enjoying the outdoor life. And that's what it's all about really for me. There wasn't much of this cafe culture where I grew up in Liverpool. I could definitely get used to this, but I don't know much about Madrid's baking culture. When you think of Spanish cooking and Spanish food, you think of tapas, you think sangria, you think chorizo, you think paella. But I'm digging round to find out a little bit more about what makes Spanish, and more in particular Madrid, tick in the baking world. Luckily, I know just the person. My old buddy Omar Alaboy is the owner of a UK chain of tapas restaurants. Hey there, buddy. But has spent most of his life in Madrid.
This is the place that I used to come with my mum time and time again. I've probably tried every single pastry a million times.
Omar's brought me to El Riojana, which was established in 1855 by the pastry chef to the Spanish queen. The counter is rammed full of delicious looking pastries, biscuits and cakes.
¿Nos puedes dar a probar, por favor? He's gonna give us a little taste.
No wonder Omar spent so much time here when he was a lad. I think I would have done the same. From cream-filled buñuelos, a sort of mini donut, that's beautiful, to rows of sweet biscuits. Wow, nuts coming through. That sweetness from a caramel as well. Many of these are made with lard instead of butter. Beautiful. That's a dunker as well.
Yes.
I reckon I'll take 6 dunks and a cup of coffee, that one. These bakes are so full of flavour. Not very good. My first taste of Madrid baking is turning into one treat after another. Wow, I love that. I'm going to have to take some of these home, I know I am. Religion plays an important part in Spanish baking. In fact, most of these bakes are made to celebrate religious festivals of one sort or another. It is religion, again, dominating baking again. So certain times a year they produce something to celebrate
Always.
a saint or a season.
Always, and the nuns in the convents. Still, they do the best biscuits, the best pastries in the country.
I just picture nuns sitting there, actually, I mean, in black, covered in flour, and producing biscuits and bakes. For me, tasting the pastries and the biscuits have been amazing. What I did find fascinating, though, was the religious connotations in the baking, the way that seasonally certain things are baked at certain times of the year. Then when you look at the variety in there, you know you're in a very special place. Gracias.
Hasta luego.
Something I love almost as much as baking is biking. This is the perfect way to see Madrid.
Риэлтор, привет! А ты знаешь, что можно работать онлайн и зарабатывать в евро? Интересно? Сейчас расскажу. Меня зовут Котлярова Екатерина, и я являюсь директором агентства зарубежной недвижимости. Я прошла путь от...
It's a beautiful city with a stylish mix of the old and the new. I could spend all day taking in the sights, but I'm here to learn about the bakes. So Omar is taking me to another historic bakery with a reputation for a very special religious cake. Tucked away in these narrow back streets is the oldest pastry shop in Madrid, Pasteleria del Pozo. I love the look of the shop. This is like a kid's toy shop.
It's amazing.
I think when you look at it, for me, it's about the colour. You know, sometimes you go to bakeries and they're quite pale. This has got lots of colour. It's got that old school feel.
Yeah, look at the cashier, how old it is. That's probably over 100 years, I'm guessing.
Right, let's get in. I'm down to try some of this stuff. Looks good.
Hola.
Hola.
¿Qué tal?
Muy bien.
Fantastic looking place. The bakes that you have in there, I mean, they look beautiful.
Thank you.
What are you famous for?
Puff pastry and roscon.
Roscon de Reyes, which means King's Ring, is a religious bake typically eaten after Christmas to celebrate the arrival of the 3 wise men. The orange blossom in there as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And lemon.
Spanish orange blossom. It's been a long time. It's delicious.
Spectacular. It is a cross between a cake and a bread. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. You make literally a bread dough and a cake dough combined.
So a sponge gets mixed with a fermented dough?
Correct. Takes time to make this.
It tastes amazing. The whole place for me is just magical. I love going into places like this, and you can really taste the atmosphere as soon as you walk in. This bakery has a reputation for its puff pastry, and there's something else in the window that has caught my eye. An empanada is a stuffed pastry which dates from medieval times, when the Spanish took their inspiration from the Indian samosa. Look at the layers there. See all those beautiful layers, and the filling?
And so thin as well. That's done with the lard and even though that it's lard and no butter, it still looks really golden and yellow, and you would think that lard will make it whiter, but it doesn't. How delicate is that?
Wow. Wow. That's delicious. I mean, really good.
It's sensational.
Better than pizza.
Oh, it's a shame I don't live down the road. If I lived here, I'd be bigger than I am. It's ridiculous. That is very special. I've tried a lot of puff pastry in my time, but one made with lard, really? But when you eat it, you feel almost each layer as you bite into it with your teeth, and then it just melts on your tongue. I've got to see how they make this. Hola. Hola. Ah, Bernarda. Angel has been working at Potho for an incredible 45 years. No wonder he's learned a thing or two about making puff pastry. So what he's actually doing is put the lard on, which I've never actually seen before. Now, is this melted lard? It's warm, so it's liquids, which is going on top of the pastry. Now, this is on, it's cold, it's very cold.
Está frío, sí.
When I make puff pastry, I keep the pastry cold by putting it in a fridge. But Angel uses a tray of ice. So he's chilling it down, brushing it on while it's hot, leaving it to set, and then he's going to fold it. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I'd hardly believe it. And just to prove it's true, Angel's got the evidence. Ah, there's the fat. This is the lard. I mean, look at it. It feels like, yeah, it is. It's proper lard. Angel rolls and folds his lard-filled pastry to create those all-important layers. The more layers that you put into this, the more it puts up in the oven. It's got no rising agents in it at all, and the flavour, kid you not, is spectacular. Look at that. Look at the layers. With lard. I've actually learned something. I never knew that you could produce the layers almost like a proper puff pastry, but just made with lard. It's incredible. Gracias, chef. Del Potho has been in business for over 180 years, and now I know why. Simply delicious. I've tried a lot of bakes in my time, and what I've learned today and there, I am going to take that with me for the rest of my life. I'm now beginning to understand what Madrid baking is all about. Coming up, I sample Madrid's supersized baking tradition. Look at the size of the churros. Massive like that. And I take inspiration from the local baking culture with my own city bake.
It's terrific. Well done, it does taste the same.
I'm in Madrid, discovering the best of Spanish baking. I don't like it. I love it. And enjoying the sights and sounds of the city. What a place to live. It's my first visit to Madrid, but I feel very at home here. I love parts of the city that are like this. I particularly love. It's the way the buildings are almost on top of each other. Very characteristic of cities around Europe, where it almost joins together. And then the architecture, you look around, the balconies are pretty, the colours are amazing. And what seems to be all over the place in Madrid are these tiles, these painted tiles, which I think are gorgeous. I mean, I'd have that in my living, if I'm honest. But then you look at this, again, the same here, you've got these beautiful pictures. It's very artistic, but then you really feel that you've stepped back 200-300 years. I love things are almost on top of each other. Very characteristic of cities around Europe, where it almost joins together. And then the architecture, you look around, the balconies are pretty, the colours are amazing. And what seems to be all over the place in Madrid are these tiles, these painted tiles, which I think are gorgeous. I mean, I'd have that in my living, if I'm honest. But then you look at this, again, the same here, you've got these beautiful pictures. It's very artistic, but then you really feel that you've stepped back 200-300 years. I love cities like that, the feel of the road, cobbles, lots of people, and to be honest, everyone I've met in Madrid have been fantastic, really friendly, want to show you the city, and they're very proud of the city. It's beautiful. The Spaniards have a reputation for staying up later than everyone else. They've even given the early hours of the morning its own name, La Madrugada. And Madrid has a favourite pastry dish to eat after a night out. It's called chocolate con churros. Omar's actually recommended this place. This is called San Ginés, and apparently it's the best chocolate in Madrid. I love chocolate. Okay, there's a bit of a queue. This is a popular place, and it's a pretty spot too. When you look around, I mean, the settings, I mean, look over here. Look at that. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Beautiful old building. And you really feel you're in this. I'm losing my place. This is amazing. I mean, it's just buzzing. And everyone's really excited about getting chocolate. It's like the massive Willy Wonka factory. The chocolate is served piping hot with the churros, which is a deep-fried dough, a bit like choux pastry. The smell of chocolate is intoxicating. Look at the size of the churros. Massive like that. Nice. Gracias. Look at these fellas. They're perfect. Wow. The smell is fantastic. I'm just going to have a quick taste of it on its own. Quite salty. And the texture is quite open inside. So it's quite an open texture, but it melts in the mouth. It's not a bad flavour just on its own. That chocolate is something else. It's spectacular. The silkiest, smoothest chocolate that you've ever had. And that's all these guys selling it. And it's absolutely rammed and there's queues about a mile down the road. That's spectacular. I've just got to know how they make this now. Those bakers are an understanding bunch, so I'm sure they won't mind me having a nose behind the scenes. Well, in the kitchens, I find the bakers pounding a simple mixture of salt, water and flour, and that's it. No butter and no eggs. But plenty of elbow grease. It's a strange mix. It's very, very hard. It is like a hot Walsborough pastry. Very difficult to work with. Okay, it's putting on the pipe now.
Всего лишь при помощи обычной ложки вы можете решить проблему с кожей, с волосами, с ногтями, избавиться от бессонницы, быстрой утомляемости и частых головных болях и головокружения. Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья! Меня зовут Данила Сусак, я чемпион России и мира по оздоровительной гимнастике цигун, и я готов поделиться с вами пошаговым планом по комплексному очищению организма, чтобы избавиться от многих проблем со здоровьем. 11 января я приглашаю вас на свой новогодний бесплатный двухдневный онлайн-курс «Новогодний детокс. Комплексное очищение организма». Вы узнаете, как при помощи простых
Mixing the dough suddenly feels like the easy bit. That looks difficult. If I'm honest, that looks really difficult. Jeez. Wow. Okay. This isn't like any piping bag I've ever used before. It's really weird. It's really weird. Yeah, I think it's a good pattern, this one. I think I've invented something here. It's like driving a bus that's bursting all its tyres. I mean, that's what the mints look like. Beautiful concentric circles going in. I think mine's a new one, to be honest. I think it's probably going to sell quite well. The dough was certainly mixed to perfection. From the sublime to the ridiculous. I like to call it puzzlement.